I was so lonely. I was so broke. I was so lost. I was so confused. I felt like a prisoner in my own body and in the world. Didn't shower, didn't brush my teeth, didn't eat, didn't leave my bed, was crying all the time. You're putting contracts in front of 18-year-old girls that have the words in perpetuity on them. Do you know how dangerous and predatory that is? I don't want to do porn. I've never wanted to do porn. There's nothing I could do to make it go away or to make them stop.
Is there a silver lining? You got married at 18.
Yeah.
Even that is uncommon, to say the least.
Yeah. Do not recommend it.
So when you say that this person clearly took advantage of several things that were present in you, whether that was low self-esteem or, just general inexperience and naivety of being a young woman, which direction in life did they push you towards? Did they push you towards becoming a really good partner to them, or did they push you in a professional direction, or did they pull you towards themselves?
Yeah, it was. There was no encouragement. There was no pushing towards anything. It was an extremely unhealthy relationship, and I even feel weird calling it a relationship because the dynamic was not one of a relationship. It was more one of someone who saw a toy to play with. They were there. The industry they were in is probably not the one that you're thinking of. They were in the army. So it wasn't even, it had nothing to do with the porn industry, but it also had everything to do with it. They were the ones who kind of put that whole world in front of me and encouraged it. And
they encouraged it?
Oh, very much so.
Your husband?
Yeah.
I struggle to understand this. So your husband, when you're 18 years old, is encouraging you towards the adult entertainment industry?
It started off as just online. But then eventually, yeah, when I was asked to I was given a business card and told to think about it. I went home, I laughed it off, and the consensus was, you should do it. I think it would be great. That's what I mean.
Okay, so you're I read this story. You were out at lunch somewhere. A guy walks up to you when you're how old?
20.
And gives you a business card and says, if you ever want to consider getting into the adult entertainment industry, here's my number. You take that home. I was wondering this when I read about that part of your story. What happened post that business card? Because I was thinking, well, she was married, so I've got a partner. My girlfriend comes home and says a man's come up to me in the street and given me a card and made me an offer like that. I'm going to be honest, my natural disposition would be to fucking burn the card.
Yeah.
Well,
they were also unhealthy, had mental health issues that I don't know if they've ever addressed, but it's a sickness, and they were not the right. But what the whole point of this is, when your relationship with yourself isn't right, you are not going to find the right person. You're not going to choose the right person. You're not going to choose someone who wants the best for you or will bring the best out of you, because you don't want that for yourself.
What were they getting out of it? You doing that, you accepting the invitation from that business card? What did they stand to gain from that?
Fetishization.
Really? That was it?
Yeah.
So there wasn't a commercial element or anything like that for them? Do you forgive that person?
No, I forgive myself.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you think there's a need to forgive people in life?
I think you need to forgive yourself for, if someone has crossed your boundary, you need to forgive yourself for letting that happen, for giving them a position in your life to hurt you like that. Me telling you that wasn't to explain or shift blame. It was to give context as to where I was mentally.
How would you, from that point onwards, from 20 years onwards then, for the next couple of years, when you look back at the Mia...
Sarah.
Sarah?
Yeah.
Would you prefer to be called Sarah?
Yeah. But it's not, I don't take offense to, I did a while ago, but I don't take offense to it, or I don't feel like my name's actually Sarah. It's either or.
You prefer to be called Sarah?
I do.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's Sarah through that period of your life, characterized by low self-esteem, people around her capitalizing on that in various different ways. You, in your own words, not knowing better at that time in your life. At that point in your life, 20, 21, 22, you go and study, right? So you study at university, again, with the aim of pursuing some kind of academic or professional pursuit. And what was that?
History.
History.
Yeah. Didn't really see, even then I didn't see like a future doing anything. I just thought I really enjoy studying history. Felt like watching a movie. Like I'm enamored with like it's my favorite subject. It felt like the easiest thing. The second easiest thing is like psychology.
Oh, I love psychology.
Yeah, exactly. They're the interesting ones. They're the juicy, they're the juicy majors. I didn't see myself doing anything other than whatever I had going on the next week. And then I guess the furthest I thought ahead was, I guess I'll work in archives or work in a museum or something. I didn't have a plan like, oh, I want to be a teacher or something.
I've heard you talk about weight loss and weight-related issues attached to the self-esteem conversation. What role did your weight play in all of this and the self-esteem and the confidence and body image issues and all of that?
I think a pretty large one. My weight now still fluctuates. And the more that I've worked on myself in therapy, the less that bothers me and affects my relationship with myself. So even in the months where I feel like I do not look like myself, I don't feel like myself, I've let myself go a little bit, it doesn't affect me the way it used to 10 years ago. I don't fall, I don't let it get to me as much anymore. But it did for a very long time because it was, I weighed like 60 pounds more than this, which is a lot.
That's a huge amount of weight to lose.
Yeah.
I read that the ways that you lost that weight were slightly troubling.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't eating well. I wasn't exercising well. I had unhealthy habits. I was young.
Therapy. You went to therapy. That's helped you get to where you are today.
Yeah.
What role has therapy played in your life and when did you first start going to therapy?
Oh, the biggest role. 2016.
Yeah.
The biggest role. I'm still in therapy. Mm-hmm. I don't see myself ever stopping really. I cycle out therapists. It's like, yeah, I love it. I love feeling like, okay, I'm ready for a fresh start. I'm ready for someone new. I'm ready for a new perspective. It's a way to keep me grounded. Every week I have to sit down and analyze myself, my thoughts, my past. Like I have to dig down and actually come face to face with the decisions I've made, my ways of thinking, my relationship with myself. Like there's accountability with therapy. And I think that's the biggest impact. I guess accountability. Yeah.
When you've dug down and sought to understand yourself, what are some of the key takeaways you've taken from therapy? So when I think about that question, if I was to be on the receiving end of it, one of the first things that comes to mind is actually my ongoing evolution of understanding why I was so avoidant in relationships, like always running away from any woman, even if I pursued her and then she turned and said, okay, let's be boyfriend and girlfriend, I would just bounce. And I had this sort of like toxic model of like what love was from my parents, but then also all the shame and insecurities. Like, I think I'm ambitious. No, I'm being dragged by this need to be enough, right? So those are kind of the two top line ideas that I took away from my experience with sort of introspection. Are there any like big picture ideas that you've taken away from therapy that were epiphany moments, connected dots?
That's a loaded question because I'm so grateful for all of the information I've learned about myself, like the dots I've been able to connect, like how being triggered by something a friend of mine says is actually related to the way that I felt ostracized on the playground when no one wanted to play with me. And like one little thing, even though they didn't mean it that way or even had any malicious intent behind it, has then taken me back to that 12-year-old girl who just feels so alone and doesn't know what she did wrong and just wants to people please. And I think the best part of therapy is within a split. Yeah, have you seen That's So Raven?
No.
Oh, it's this show with Raven Simone on the Disney Channel when we were growing up. And she has these visions. She's a psychic and she just like stares off into space and then she zooms out and then she zooms back in and no time has gone. But she saw maybe a 30-minute vision play out. But she comes back and it's been like a split second. And that's how That's what therapy feels like. It takes me back and I analyze that moment and I understand that that moment is not this moment. And my friend cares about me and she's not actually trying to make me feel like no one wants to play with me on the playground just because she said you can come if you want and not I want you to come. You know what I mean? I think that's the magic behind therapy. It gives you time traveling superpowers.
Has it changed your perception of the period of your life where you enter the adult entertainment industry? Has it changed your perception how you
Yeah. Absolutely. I spent so much time wondering, why did I do this? This is not me. I was in it for such a short amount of time. And the entire time I was doing it, I was also asking myself every day, why am I doing this? What is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? That's like the number one question. And I know what was wrong with me. I had low self-esteem. I had no boundaries with myself. I didn't respect myself. I didn't like myself. So many things were wrong with me. And all of these things anyone can work on. It's hard. It is hard though. It's hard. Once you become self-aware, there's no going back. I think I cried more in the first 2 years of being in therapy than I ever did going through anything I did in my life, in my adolescence, in my early teens, and anything.
This is why a lot of people don't go to therapy.
It's hard. It's hard. That self-awareness is like, I mean, no. And especially once you start realizing things about people in your life that you've kind of put rose-colored glasses on for all your life to make up excuses or to kind of change the situation in your head so that you don't actually have to face what the reality was or the fact that, wow, this is actually a really situation. This person that I love, who's supposed to support me, who's supposed to be there for me, was actually not that great in hindsight, not even in hindsight, in 2020 sight, in actual vision.
And the shedding that takes place when you become
shedding. That's a great word.
Word,
Yeah, that's great. That's exactly how it feels.
Slowly letting these little pieces go. What's interesting is when I read about your life post the adult entertainment industry, which was only a couple of months anyway, all in all, you sounded incredibly isolated. So when I think about the word shedding, I think of all these people that you're letting go. But in that period, you sounded like you were alone. I remember the story of you going to Austin and meeting your friend on Twitter, all those kinds of things. Take me to that period then. So you make the decision that career is not for you. What happens the next day, week, month, post that?
Fucking loneliness. I was living in an efficiency.
What's that?
An efficiency is not even a studio. It's where this rug cuts off to that wall. That is wider than what it was, but definitely the length. My toilet, my bathroom sink was also my kitchen sink. There was no stove. There was a broken window that I had tape over, and there was only one window. It's a room. I think they're popular in South Florida, or like, I don't think you have them here because I don't think they're legal to like sell as living spaces. Very lonely, extremely lonely. But at that point in my life, loneliness was better than what I was doing before. And that, I think, was the start of the tiniest bit of confidence. That gave me the confidence to take the risk of moving to Austin and starting a new life. And I was so lonely. I was so broke. I was so lost. I was so confused. But all I was completely 100% sure of was, I don't want to do porn. I've never wanted to do porn. I'm never going to go back to that. And standing firm on my ground in my morals, in my boundaries, in just everything, that was like the tiniest glimmer of confidence starting to grow. Standing firm in my boundaries, even if I didn't know that was a boundary. I couldn't pinpoint it. I couldn't call it that. I didn't know what it was. I didn't have the verbiage or the knowledge or the self-awareness to call it what it was. But that was how it started. I would not, if I hadn't moved to Austin, I wouldn't have started therapy. I wouldn't have, that was the domino effect of, in a positive way in my life. It could have gone a completely other way, and it does for so many people. And I'm so grateful that I was able to get out.
that first domino falling, which took you to Austin in that new direction, was there a catalyst? Was there something that pushed that domino? Because I noticed that in the sort of timeline of events, you then at the same time separate from your partner around a similar time, and then you leave the adult entertainment industry. Was there a catalyst? Because those two decisions are huge decisions, and they feel correlated. They feel like they're attached.
I had nothing to lose, and I think that I also knew I need to get the fuck out of Miami. I was in Miami at the time, and it was where everything happened, and I just did not want to be there anymore. It felt daunting. It felt like walls closing in on me everywhere I went.
Was there like a catalyst day though? Something that happens that makes you go, "Fuck, I need to," or was it just slowly?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was the day I met my best friend on Twitter. I didn't meet her that day on Twitter. Her and I had been following each other for a while. She posts memes. I like them. Vice versa. Her and I were talking about something. Oh, she said, "I'm looking for a roommate. I'm asking around the office for a roommate." And I said, "What if I move to Austin? I don't want to live in Miami anymore." And then I started looking up, how do you move states? Like, what does it take? What does it require? What paperwork do I need for my dogs? Like all of that stuff. And then within a month, I was packed up and moved.
And was there a catalyst for you deciding to leave the adult entertainment industry, even though you were there for a couple of months? Was there anything?
I think it was how overwhelming everything became so fast.
Okay.
Like that was the reality check. It was like when they turn the lights on at the club at 4 a.m, like, whoa,
okay.
The floors are sticky and nothing looks the same. This is not what I signed up for. It's not what I expected. I fucked up.
That's not a typical experience for an actress in that industry.
No, not at all.
That is a very atypical experience because you went from obscurity to number one in an industry in weeks.
Yeah.
So you got hit by a fucking truck.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. You become a paralegal?
Yeah, for a very short period of time. Like 6 months.
Tell me all about that.
Nothing really much to say. It was for an insurance defense firm. It was pretty boring, and it was very much like corporate. The insurance company that they represented was Geico. So it was like a very boring thing, and it was just paper pushing. It was really weird to work there, especially since that was my first job where I did it. I did the application, and I went into it thinking, this is the shift. This is me putting Mia Khalifa behind me. And this is me like trying to be a real human. Did not work. Everyone in the office recognized me. It was a very uncomfortable work environment, not because anyone was overtly inappropriate. It was just simply being in an office, knowing anyone who walked through did a double take and is like, "Are you?" So that was uncomfortable. And then after that, I worked at a construction company, just doing bookkeeping and office work. And same thing, I would have to go on a job site, and the owner of the company just made it so I can't go on job sites. It was a distraction. It was not a good idea. In that situation, people would be inappropriate sometimes. But yeah, I started to feel like a burden in the offices where I was. And I hated that feeling. And I was actually sitting at that construction job in the office when I was talking to Rachel in the DMs, like, I'm going to move to Austin. Let's do it.
Anxiety.
Yeah.
Has that been a big part of your life, for much of your life?
Yes, very much so. And I think that has been prevalent from the very beginning.
The very beginning is since you were a kid or a teenager? Or...
Yeah, probably even in utero. I mean, my parents grew up in the Civil War in Lebanon. And I lived through a lot of conflict in Lebanon, whether it be civil or the surrounding countries or whatever. But we left for a reason, and it's because it was dangerous. So I think I've always had that. Like, I jump when I hear a noise. I jump when someone who's been in the room for 4 hours with me speaks, even though they haven't because they haven't spoken in 10 minutes. Like, I get scared. Like, I'm a jumpy person, probably because of that.
When was your anxiety at its highest?
2019, 2020.
Okay. So that's post Austin.
Oh, yeah. It was it was post everything, but it was in the midst of the porn company going after me publicly. And re-releasing things and digging up footage that was corrupted in 2012, in 2013, whenever it was shot, and releasing it like it was new, and that coming back into the news cycle, and them just being extremely abusive and exerting and proving that they still have control over me because I signed a contract that says in perpetuity on it.
Your life had started to move.
Oh yeah, I was married again.
You were married again, 2019. Where are you living at this point in time?
I was living in LA.
LA.
Yeah, I was living in LA. I was doing my own thing. I was starting to figure out what it was I wanted to do and where I want. Like things were really good that year. It was the year I had that little cameo in that incredible show Rami. That was a huge moment for me, and I'm so grateful for that moment, and I'm so upset that that moment was kind of overshadowed by all of the negativity that came from the porn company in the subsequent months.
The porn company coming after you and attacking you, not something you would expect from a company.
A $1 billion company at that. Yeah, it goes to show you how petty and personal it is. Because the people who are behind it aren't exactly the CEOs. It's the board pseudo producers who don't like that I'm out here talking about my experience. It's very much individuals, not the company, but these individuals do have the power to speak on the company's behalf.
What are they threatened by?
I think they're threatened by, like you said earlier, most people in my position aren't in my position because this is the outcome that the girls want who enter the industry. Most of them who enter the commercial porn industry, or the mainstream porn industry. They want the fame, they want the infamy, they want all of that. And I think for the first time, these individuals are experiencing someone who is fully aware of what was happening and is fully aware of what is and isn't ethical, and has the platform and the resources to speak on all of those things.
What is your opinion of the industry now?
I have a very unfavorable opinion on it, but I do think that there are ethical and unethical ways that you can support sex workers and consume porn. As someone who is a creator or as someone who is simply a consumer, there are ethical ways to do it. Granted, any company has its downsides, like even OnlyFans has trouble policing and regulating the people who are on their site, and every company has its downsides, but I would say that the major production porn companies are all predatory and abusive and unethical and prey on vulnerable young women. And even me saying this, I already know that some of the responses back are going to be from women in the industry that say, no, it's not. No, it's not. It's great. It's fantastic. Everyone is so nice. I love this company. I love all of this. And to be honest with you, I think that rhetoric is grooming. I think that if you're going to enter the industry and you're going to be an advocate for it, it has to come with a caveat. And that caveat needs to be, you shouldn't enter the industry unless you've already kind of been in the industry. It shouldn't be a first option for you. Like, that shouldn't be something that you simply go into because you like it. Think about it more. Wait on it more. The age to go into the industry should not be 18. You're putting contracts in front of 18-year-old girls that have the words in perpetuity on them. Do you know how dangerous and predatory that is? These are 3, 4, 5-page contracts.
Jesus Christ. I mean, any contract when you're 18 years old, although it's like reading
the legal verb, it's jargon. It's literally another language.
Yeah. I was thinking about Miranda rights. We don't really have like Miranda rights. We have our own version of it here. But
what do you do? Sing "God Save the Queen"?
I don't know. I've never been arrested. I'll let you know. but you get read your Miranda. I watch all of these like a US crime interrogation videos. It's like how I fall asleep. Don't worry about it.
Wow.
But I see them
Let's
being
go
read.
back to anxiety.
Yeah. I see them being read their Miranda rights before they get interrogated, and then they get offered a lawyer.
Yeah.
Seems like maybe from what you're saying, that's not a bad idea.
No.
If there was some kind of like implications clearly stated to people that are considering entering the porn industry at a young age, and the opportunity to have a lawyer or at least legal representation to impartially explain as a third party the potential implications for better or for worse, you know.
I don't think that's ever going to be possible unless the laws change around what around the rights that they have. It's just those two words, in perpetuity. It's
perpetuity. What vicious words.
Yeah,
The
not
worst word.
forever, not in your lifetime, not in our lifetime, in perpetuity of all lifetimes in all existence. Who needs that much control over a young woman's body?
They still own the website with your name, with your.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do to have that website taken down.
I mean, there is, but it's a very expensive lawsuit against $1 billion corporation. It's a conglomerate. They also own Bang Bros isn't the only company under that umbrella. It's a very wide reach.
The peak of your anxiety, 2019, 2020. If I was a fly on the wall inside your apartment, wherever you were living back then, what would I have seen? What would I have observed?
Didn't shower, didn't brush my teeth, didn't eat, didn't leave my bed, was crying all the time. Anytime I would open my phone, I felt like a prisoner in my own body and in the world, more so, not just in my own body, because I couldn't scream loud enough. There's nothing I could do to make it go away or to make them stop. Honestly, the worst part about it was I knew that if I went on and actually spoke about how much it impacted me, that's what they would want. That's exactly what they would want. They were very annoyed that I started naming them by name, and that's when everything started. These individuals value their privacy more than anything in the world, and it's because of all of the unethical and immoral things that they've done throughout their careers in this industry. So they all go by aliases too. Being called out by their legal government names was not something they took kindly to, and that is why they chose to release the video that the footage was corrupted of 10 years ago.
That was a pornographic video they
Yeah.
released. Okay, so they started releasing more videos because you were speaking out against them. And they started doing a variety of other attacks, making like mini Instagram documentary clips of you, which I find, I mean, you'd expect like a jealous, bitter ex to be doing something like that.
That's exactly what they are.
You know, not a corporation.
That's exactly what they are, a jealous, bitter ex.
I look at all the decisions I've made in my life, and I think about, being 18 and deciding to do this or that, or 25 and doing this and fucking up at that. And people look back and they say, there's always a silver lining. Is there a silver lining?
Yeah. I'm really funny. Trauma makes you funny. Builds character. No, of course there's a silver lining. I'm sitting in front of you today, happier than I've ever been. I am not the sum of the things I've been through or the adversities I've faced. I'm not. The silver lining is it fucking happened. It's over with. It's not over with, actually. It's following me for the rest of my life. But I am no longer in the mental space that I was back then. So it's over with for me.